Razor, welcome back to the studio. We're joined in the studio again, none other than David Johnston, yoga teacher extraordinaire. How you doing, David?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You're looking very fresh and slim and trim as usual.
Thanks very much.
It's warm in the studio here, isn't it?
It is, it's quite warm.
Yeah, it's time to get this hair off. Look at that there, look.
So as long as nothing else coming off.
No, we're going to assure you there'll be nothing else coming off. No, not even the boots are coming off today,
Good,
David,
good.
you know. So how's things with you?
I'm great. Can't complain.
Good. On the yoga, you're busy at the yoga?
Busy at the yoga, yeah. I'm doing a couple of nights in Otlava in Uri at the moment. I have a new class started in Warrenpoint on Sunday mornings, and I'm doing a new meditation class next Tuesday in Uri in Otlava House too.
In Otlava.
So, yeah.
And you're doing really early in the morning starts, aren't you?
Well, I was sort of knocked that on the head because it wasn't very popular.
Wasn't for everybody then?
No, there was maybe 2 or 3 people at it, and that's not really enough.
No.
To make it worthwhile.
Yeah, and I suppose you need more than 4 or 5 to get a class going anyway, don't you? You know, and you as a teacher, you can't just, you know, I suppose you can do private classes,
well, yeah,
and, you know.
Well, I offer private classes, and I haven't pushed that down the road yet, but I will during time.
And another thing, you've been out in the Cullaville, haven't you?
I have indeed.
So Malachi's out in Cullaville. Big shout out to all the guys out there, the GEA team.
That's it.
So what's the story there? You wouldn't think GEA teams would be involved now in yoga?
No, I suppose there's a dual purpose there. I suppose, like any GEA team or football team, they're from time to time they're plagued with injuries, and maybe their best players are coming up to an important match are being left out because of injury, whether it's hamstrings or groin strains or whatever it is, lower back maybe. You know, if these guys are training, and some of the top club footballers, it's pretty serious. They could be training 3 times a week. They could be having their match on a Sunday. So I was just approached. One guy was coming to class on a regular basis, and he recommended me. And I've been out in Cullaville, I suppose, about 2 months, every Friday night, and they enjoy it. So it's a dual purpose, trying to make the body more flexible, avoiding injuries, but also helping to focus the mind, noticing the breathing, and coming together as a football team, and being more present. And the way that plays out then, if, for example, on a Sunday, if there's a pressure match and somebody makes a mistake, well, not everybody gets onto their back. They know they're all in it together. What does yoga mean? Yoga means union. We're working together for the one common purpose. And putting things aside that they can't control, whether it's maybe the referees maybe not on their side, or something goes over the bar, the umpire calls it wide, not losing the head over it. Let's focus on what we have to do here and go from there. And I think that seems to work for them, you know.
Well, that's very good, because you know the Gaelic football yourself, and the hurling. It's not just ordinary. It's not like the soccer at all. You know, it's completely different. The training regime for it is completely different.
Yeah.
They train like warriors, these guys, don't they?
They've certainly seemed to have stepped it up an awful lot, you know.
And even from the start of yoga then, so you've got the yoga and you're teaching them to chill out a bit. And
well, I'm teaching them to breathe, maybe respect their body more, not just go at it. I'm not going to say 100%, but going at football or any sport where you're bringing your body into injury is not really respecting your body. So you have to be able to tune into what your body's telling you. So if your body's telling you to rest, you rest it. Do you know what I mean? So say the guys are maybe training 3 days a week, playing on the Sunday, and in between maybe they're going to gym, but they're going to gym and they're fatigued. Well, the body's telling you to, here, take a rest, wait till Sunday, gather yourself up to the match, and give it 100% then, rather than spending yourself over the whole week and being burning the body out. So you're going to be more prone to injuries, more prone to catching flus or colds, throat infections, chest infections.
Can you overtrain?
Like
So as a matter of fact, you can overtrain and maybe run yourself down a bit then, is that right?
Well, somebody told me one time, and I've always sort of remembered it, the body only gains strength when you're not training. So when you're recovering, that's when the body gets stronger. So if you don't give it a chance
By
to
keep
recover,
training, yeah.
if you keep constantly training and training and training, it's not going to recover, and you're not going to get strengthened. You're actually going to maybe become weaker. Your immune system's going to run down, and you're going to be more prone to illness and flu and stuff like that.
Do you believe in these supplements that, you know, the likes of bodybuilders and all take?
Well, you see, I suppose each to their own, you know.
Yeah.
It's not really fair to criticise people if you don't know enough about it and what they're taking and stuff. But from my own point of view, I would be more inclined to what I've done over the last maybe 6 months or year is make maybe more smoothies with spinach, avocado, coconut water. So you're getting more natural ingredients that are maybe going to go into the body a lot quicker, be more healthier and stuff like that.
And obviously the body will benefit itself a bit better, wouldn't it, if it's putting the natural things in?
That's it.
Yeah, because you see an awful lot of people on there. What I do, you know, nowadays, and a lot of people training, and they're taking all these powders and supplements, and it does make them work harder in the gym. There's no doubt about it. You know, it really does. It makes them work hard. But is the benefit there for them?
Well, it depends. Again, where yoga comes into play, we're watching how we think, and we're observing how we think. We're working through the body through the postures, but we're actually, because of the system of postures and what we do, we're working with the organs in the body. So if we come back to the supplements about what we're eating and how much that taxes the system, you know, how long does it take to digest the body? Whereas if we go for a more natural form of making smoothies or juicing, that's coming into the body with the good enzymes. It's fresh. It hasn't been stored for a year, 6 months, or whatever. Straight into the body. The body uses what it needs. It doesn't take as much energy. Yoga is about conserving energy, removing the blockages of energy from the body. So if you're eating better food and more natural products, there's less taxation on the energy system, the organs, small intestine, large intestine, etc. And again, there's an overlap there into Chinese medicine. They talk about the qi in the body, especially with the kidneys and stuff. If you're eating more natural products and doing, you know, have better lifestyle, it's less taxing on the body then.
You've just mentioned a word there, qi, and Tai Chi. It's in the same league of Chi, let's say. It's all to do with meditation too, isn't it? It's serious meditation, but
I suppose the Tai Chi, although I haven't really practiced, but I know maybe a couple of moves, or seen moves, or maybe I've gone to a yoga class and the teacher has maybe introduced a wee bit as a warm-up. To me, it looks like, and just from an observation point of view, it's like moving in meditation with your body and really being observant of your body as well. So, you know, that's all good. Any of these practices are good. They all complement each other.
yeah, because you've seen the likes of the Shaolin monks doing the Tai Chi, and they're putting, you know, one guy's putting a spear up against the other guy, and they can't pierce that thin bit of skin there because of the power of the Tai Chi meditation that they've learned.
That's right. And again, it's down to them being really conscious of their body and I suppose highlighting the power that they have. I suppose that everybody has. It's just that, you know, as we tend to get in our Western culture, we tend to live a lot in the head, and we're not really observing our bodies and working with our bodies. It's like it's like having that light where, you know, say for example, and it's just a rough comparison, we have the mind here and we have the body here, and in between, in our Western culture, we pull out the plug. There's a disconnect. So with the Tai Chi, the yoga, the meditation, whatever, any of those arts, we're plugging it all back in together. So we're working as one. And yoga means union, body, mind and spirit. So once we're more connected, we're more aware of what we're doing to ourselves. And then we gradually begin to avoid what doesn't serve us through our eating habits. The big one yesterday on the news, sleeping habits. If you don't get enough sleep, the body doesn't recover properly. Again, it doesn't get the chi in the body. You're going to become fatigued, more prone to illness. You're going to go to the doctor. He's going to pop you a couple of pills. It's just like an endless circle. So really what we have to be doing is to be more responsible for our own health. And maybe not looking outside, looking inside. So that's, again, what yoga brings.
Different perspective there.
Yeah. Not looking outside for the answers, because the answers are already here. And we already know them. It's just that we're going that fast and we're more concerned with other things that we just seem to miss them.
Because the speed of life in Ireland's got a lot faster, hasn't it?
Plus also there's a fear. There's a fear of not knowing, who am I? I mean, that's quite a big question to ask.
That's a different question to ask there now.
That's a whole 2-hour program, isn't it?
Wow, maybe 3, maybe 3-hour program there.
The whole day, yeah.
But it's just trying to work out who you are and what you're doing.
And what your life purpose is, yeah.
So you reckon we all have a purpose somewhere?
Oh yeah, everybody has.
Everybody has a purpose. I find that one, that's strange as well. You've seen people, I've seen people who just, they couldn't give the damn years ago, and now they're, they're sort of on the straight and narrow, they're away from all drink and everything else. And now it's like it's nearly too late for them. They want to cram as much information now into their head and do things that they haven't done.
But again, it's the old thing of maybe being half of our lives asleep. We are, like, we're not sleeping here, obviously. We're going through our daily lives, but we're not connected. We're not plugging into our own selves, our inner selves, and living up to our potential.
How can we do that? How can we plug into what you're saying there? How can we plug into it?
Probably through meditation or yoga or Tai Chi or any of those arts that help to slow us down and look a little bit more inside ourselves.
Do you meditate every day, David?
Well, I would either practice yoga or meditate. Again, if you go back to fatiguing the body, some days if I'm really tired, I'll just get up and I'll meditate. But the yoga in itself is a form of meditation because you're working with the breath, and you're really noticing the body. You notice where your feet are, where your legs are, how you move. So that in itself is a form of meditation. But yes, if I'm feeling too tired, I just sit down on the mat and meditate for 20 or 30 minutes.
You're just in the house, even?
I was in the house.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you don't have to turn the TV on or anything? You just sit, do you sit in a quiet room or with music? Or?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough to have a quiet room, and that's where I practice yoga, and have a couple of wee icons and light a bit of incense and a candle. So that sort of that sets the mood. With
the smell of the incense?
Yeah.
And then you're probably focusing on the candle, are you?
No, not necessarily. No. If it's a nice day there, I would turn to sit to face the sun, because that's, if you look at ancient cultures, one of the Native Americans, when they built their houses, the door always faced the sun coming up and the sun going down. They knew the significance of the sun for helping the crops to grow and stuff like that there.
Even heat.
And heat.
Probably heat the house and all that.
To heat the earth.
Yeah. There's some,
obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems that if you go back into all these cultures, that a lot of things right, haven't they?
Well, again, they lived with their surroundings, and they lived with Mother Nature, and they only took what they need. So there's a lot of lessons for us to learn. looking at these indigenous cultures, whether it's the Aztecs or the Native American Indians or the Amazonians. And, you know, we were talking about their observing ourselves and stuff like that, and one of the Native Americans, the Sioux Indians, the chief, he would call his son in at the end of every evening or night, and he would ask him questions about how he spent his day on the plains. When he saw the birds flying, had they got something in their mouths, which maybe it meant it was the nesting season or feeding their young. What side of the tree did the moss grow on? And there was different things, and they would indicate seasons and stuff like that. And you know, when they were killing the buffalo, when they were hunting and killing the buffalo, they only killed how many they needed at that particular time, and then they would use every piece of it. So they use the bones for the tools. Obviously they use the meat for eating, and they would use the skin for the teepees and stuff like that, and clothing. So none of it was wasted. And they had a great reverence for Mother Earth.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is, it is.
And you think, you're out in the plains you're out in basically a barren desert, and there's a large buffalo.
But
so how do you get, you know what I mean? How do
Yeah.
you make the tools to take this down?
Exactly,
You know?
and what's really striking now, there's a program on TV, Bear Grylls, where he's taking the 13 guys out. I don't know, have you watched it?
I've just watched a clip of
And
it.
I was just thinking about this, because I think they've been out, were they out 3 days and they hadn't caught
Nothing.
any fish, they were trying to catch the birds, they couldn't catch them.
We're trying to light a fire with a stick.
Yeah, and that took them 2 days.
That took them 2 days, right?
So if you can imagine the Native American or any of these indigenous tribes, they were there full on all the time. So they had to learn the skills to survive and to, I mean, these guys, fair enough, Bear Grylls was talking about it, and it was 3 days. And he said, another 2 days and we're going to have to take these guys out. So obviously there was a cut-off time, or else they were going to give them rations. But if you're out in the plains and you're there on your own, you've got to learn, and you've got to do it.
Could you do it? That's a big question.
Well, that is the question, and I've often thought of it. I would actually like to give it a go. I would.
We'll get on the Bear Grylls and see what can get you out in the jungle. I'd say you'd be all right, because you take a lot in, don't you?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot going on in that head, David, isn't there?
Not as much as there used to be.
Oh, no, you're an observant guy. You like the nature, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, because you notice things. Don't see you walking up Hill Street tapping away on your phone, or, you know.
Well, I only have one of those old phones. I don't have I have a phone.
For a phone.
For a phone. And I have
Hello,
an iPod.
goodbye.
And I have an iPod for my music. And that's really it.
That's all you need, isn't it? So you're a sort of a minimalistic guy.
Yeah. Yeah, why do we need, you know, with the iPhones and stuff, why do you need all your stuff in the one
device?
You know, when you go from the office and you shut your PC down, you're stepping away from your emails and your Facebook and your Twitter and whatever. So why do you want to take that with you? And you know, what are you going to do at 8 o'clock at night if somebody emails you? Or somebody's, you know, tweets you something important? Or what? You're going to have to wait to go back in the next day anyway. So we're blurring the lines between, you know, our workplace and our leisure time.
So now it's more stress because you're taking your emails with you on your big phone.
Yeah, it's as if we can't switch off.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's like society. They're saying, you know, my phone's better than your phone.
Yeah.
You know, I can get 10 emails per second on this here. Or
plus the other thing is, and it's quite clever, if you look at Apple and any of the, you know, what's the newest one, what is the i5 or I don't know. They're probably already working on the 6
or 7.
Yeah. So the phone that you have now is going to be obsolete within a year or whatever, or they're going to bring out the next one within 6 months. So because you're in that system and you are tied in that through your emails, your Twitter and whatever, you're going to have to get that next phone to keep up to date.
That's
and
the
even
way
if
it
you
is.
wanted to keep the phone, iPhone 4 or 3, that software is now becoming out of date, so you're still going to have to take the leap. So that the big companies are pulling us in and they're tying us in to this rat race. And I was watching a clip with Russell Brand, and he's completely changed, and it was very, very interesting. And one of his points was they're sort of dumbing us down with the X Factor, and we want to be all celebrities and the Britain's Got Talents. But the real hard questions of the government and how the banks have made such a cock-up this last 5 or 6 years, they're the questions that we should be asking, and what are they doing to the environment? But they're feeding us all this rubbish, X Factor, celebrities,
Indeed.
Toei, Made in Chelsea,
Yeah.
never watched it, never want to watch it.
It's brutal.
I mean,
It's brutal. Not unless you're from Chelsea. It's good if you're from Chelsea. Put it like that, you know. Made in Essex. It's a great show if you're from Essex, you know. That's the way I look at it, you know. And I shouldn't really be saying that. I have lots of friends over in Essex, you know. But they love the show, so that's great,
yeah,
you know.
but each to their own, you know.
But the X Factors, it's manufactured. The Voice, manufactured. They're assassinating people live TV. You know, if you know that guy or that girl can't sing, don't let them on in front of the cameras.
That's right.
Don't rip them out in front of the cameras. You know, that's the difference. The difference I have with Simon Cowell is he would get the back of my hand very quickly.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching this would be saying the same. But that's what it is. It's completely. He doesn't know the damage he's causing to people's lives by saying you're rubbish, you can't sing, get out. He doesn't know what's going on in that person's head.
Yeah.
For a start, but because he's sitting there with his nice crew cut and all, he can do whatever he wants. He thinks he can do whatever he wants.
And I know it's a strange one, because I was watching it last Saturday night, and you had the two guys coming on at the end and doing the. Now they were great and fantastic and all the rest of it, but these guys are like 9 or 10, and I'm sitting there going, I'm chatting over to the wife, you know, are these guys going to be in rehab 3 or 4 years' time? You know,
You never know.
What is that all about? Why do the kids? Why do we want to get them in there? And celebrity is such a.
Indeed, and the pressure's going on in that child's head. Sure. You know, I know they're only kids, but what are they feeling in their head? You don't know. But that's why I'm thinking these are manufactured shows. They're trying to manufacture musicians and singers, and they're letting, as I say, they're ripping out the people who really can't sing, and that I don't like. You know, if somebody can't sing, there should be a scale. Can you sing that scale? No, I can't. Well then, sorry, you can't come into it. Get real singers in. Get people who can sing.
That's right.
But don't get somebody in because they look different. I mean, you're going to get a laugh out of them. And then for Simon Cowell to turn around and, you know, no, get out of my show, and then start to give bad manners, you know.
Yes, yes.
And then he hops into his Rolls Royce and away to his fantasy life somewhere, you know. The money involved in it alone is shocking, you know.
Plus, again, whoever comes through the competition, he signs them up. He has them for 2 years or something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can't go anywhere else.
They can't. No, he's got his grimy mitts on them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a hard life being a musician and a singer. It's hard enough, but okay, if you get a bit of publicity and get onto that show, and he rips you out one way, or he says you're very good, I want you on my team. Either way, you've got that publicity. But what way does it go from there? Is it good or bad? You know? And I know what you're saying, but you see them. Some of them children been tears tripping them.
But what is it? What are they looking for? What's this big thing? This celebrity or being famous? What?
Yeah, through Simon Cowell.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you get your nab on TV, what?
It's all wrong, isn't it? I think that TV's gone wrong, hasn't it?
So are we looking for an outer experience or an inner experience? You know, are we searching for the answer somewhere else than it's actually in here? And that's where we should be focusing our attention. And as a culture, that's what we should be learning our younger people, to be more in tune with themselves, practice yoga and meditation. Maybe it might bring the suicide rates down, you know.
Well, it'll certainly not put them up, I think, anyway.
You know, certainly if you know, if you're looking inside and you begin to come a bit stiller, more confident, a little bit more focused, you know, once you have that inner confidence, there's nothing can really rock your world.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, you know, we were sitting here and 5 minutes ago the thing went down, didn't it?
That's right, the TriCaster.
Yeah.
The TriCaster give us a timeout.
Yeah.
And we were sitting here and we had our own timeout.
Well, that's it.
No camera rolling, two of us talking away. And our studio manager, he was getting a bit stressed out there. You could see it.
Yeah.
And it's all to do with technology, so technology's stressing us out then.
Yeah, but the lesson there is, you know, there's things that happen out of our control. But if we're a little bit more aware and inner stillness and confidence, well, we'll just let that ride. We know that's part of the day and these things are going to happen. There's some things we're never going to be able to control. But when they do, we can be a little bit more still. And we know from our experience that we've already come through things in life that have happened to us.
Yeah.
So we're more able to handle what comes up.
Yeah.
And have that sort of stillness and resolve.
You're right there on every bad experience you get in life. I think it makes you that bit stronger for the new experience. Because let's face it, we all get different experiences, don't we?
We do indeed.
You know, the dreaded one is the big D, as I call it, the death. You know, when it comes knocking on your door.
But
that,
it's going to come.
Of course it's going to come, but for those people out there that it never came to their door, you know, you never think about it.
No.
You never ever think about it till it comes to your door and then wham, and it hits you. It hits you like a wrecking ball.
Why is that? I mean, why is that in this culture? In the Tibetan culture, it's very much part of, you know, it's not a taboo subject.
Yeah. Well, Billy Connolly, funny enough.
Yes.
Were you watching his show?
I didn't see any of it now, but
it was quite good. It was grim but good, if you know what I mean. It's the fact is, he's basically saying, here's where we're going. We're going either that way, or you know, or we're going up in flames, one of the two. So he got his eyes open too. You know, he went to different cultures around the world, different cultures in America and Africa and places, and it was enlightening to say the least. To see, you know, some communities out there embrace the death, you know, and I suppose it's the best thing to do.
It is.
I like to do is celebrate the deceased person's life, celebrate their life, because they're not coming back. End of story. You know, that bit's done. That chapter's over. And to me, I think we've all got chapters in our own life. You know, I'm sure you know there was a time when I played a bit of football or Gaelic or anything, and then there was a time I was doing a bit of fishing and I was into rallying and all years ago, and you know what I mean? You have different chapters in your life. But the final one is the big D. That's the final one, friends. You've heard it here live in the Banter show. But you don't seem to be too... You're a clued-in guy. There's not a lot would faze you, David, is there?
Probably not. But again, the big D's probably hasn't come knocking on my door.
I hope he doesn't.
Well, inevitably he will. Yeah. But I've often thought about what's going to happen, you know, when I die, or what sort of funeral I would like. I know we're talking about it sort of grim here, but it's always good to have these sort of thoughts. And for me, I'd like to have a celebration.
There you go.
Not too many dire songs or you know, dire readings. Have a bit of poetry, a bit of singing. Have a few stories. Maybe leave a playlist. Listen, I want this, and this.
There's a good playlist.
These are the songs that I like, because I play yoga in my class. Or sorry, music yoga. I play music in my yoga class, and
he plays yoga in his music class, friends.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
So you're allowed to mix it up. Yeah. And you know, all different types of songs. So some of them would probably like to be played.
And party. You're going to party. You
That's
know?
what it's all about.
Well, I like to party here while I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit the big D and watch everybody else
And
partying.
so,
You know?
something I was reading as well, we were talking about the Native Americans. One of their philosophies, and again, they were much in tune with the death and stuff, and one of the points that they made was death is just a way of making room for somebody else to come along. Because if we all lived eternally, there'd be no room on the bloody planet.
No.
So you're making space for somebody else.
There'd have to be another planet got, wouldn't there?
Yeah, Jesus.
Think about that one.
Mm.
And then the biggest race on this planet are the Chinese, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's 96 billion or something. You know,
Is there?
it's something incredible,
crazy,
you know. And a study showed back in, I think, the year 2000, they said in the year 2030, in round, give or take a few years, that in Ireland there'd be more Chinese people than Irish.
Mm.
You know, well, I think that's because the Irish are scattered all around the world anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't think there'll be room in Ireland if you try to get all the Irish home.
Mm.
You know, but it's great. It's good to see all these other communities coming in and different cultures, and even the likes of our St Patrick's Day march, where it used to be the same bands year in year out. Now you've got the Chinese, and you know you've got all the Eastern Europeans, and it's great. You know, and even South Americans are now involved in it. And
Yes.
you know, there's Spanish classes down in Maya, even, you know, Mexican, and it's. I like this. I think this is good,
Yeah, it is a good thing.
and I think it's good for the people. You know, because way back during the Troubles, there was only two sides.
That's right.
Now there's loads of sides, and there's loads of communities, loads of colours, loads of cultures, and that kind of put the Troubles to bed as well,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because it.
But even what I noticed today on some of those election posters, it's still very predominant, the two sides.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you just you're driving down the street going Union Jack, tricolour. Flip's sake, come on, like.
Yeah.
What are the real issues here? More jobs, infrastructure, sorting out that bridge up at Grounded for health and safety reasons.
That's a
Oh,
danger,
God.
isn't it?
That's some poor woman or
It's not even signed right or nothing, you know.
There's just no footpath. You come up, there's no footpath. What am I supposed to do? Cross the road?
It is. It's quite there, and people are taking chances.
Yep.
And they're running out, and I mean, I probably took chances myself at it.
Yeah.
There's no use saying anything different, you know. But it's the likes of old people who are likely to trip and fall.
Yeah.
Now that's the danger. And the speed of the traffic coming up the quay there is hectic enough too, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, Newry, traffic-wise, Newry should be. It needs to be. There needs to be a complete traffic management plan for Newry, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, you've seen road rage, you've seen everything going on, I'm sure, around. And that needs to be sorted. Even should there be a one-way system in some part of the town, the old town, even to keep that traffic free, because it goes to the lights and then stops, goes to the lights and then stops, and that's it. You know, and the lights aren't even synced. You know, they're not even synced right. But anyway, that's that rant over. Let's get back to David. And I think, David, how does a person meditate?
How does a person meditate? Well, you can meditate in a number of ways. The old sort of textbook way, or how people would think of it, is like you have to sit down and you have to be sitting in lotus position. You know, very much like the ad on TV.
The legs crossed, not there.
Jeez.
So this is a myth from the start then.
Yeah, but you don't have to be.
Right.
I mean, you could be sitting in your chair here, or, you know, meditation can take the form of washing the dishes at home. And by that I mean is that you're fully in the observation of doing what you're doing. So, for example, if we take washing the dishes at home, and I know you would wash your dishes at home, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I always try to get somebody else to wash the dishes. I hate washing the dishes.
But you're going to have to try this tonight.
There you are, I've got homework. Check that out.
So, if you're washing the dishes, you've put your fairy liquid in, it's nice and bubbly, and you're washing one dish at a time, and you're fully observant of what you're doing. So, you're washing that plate, you may be going in a circular fashion, you're feeling the temperature of the water on your hands, you're noticing the bubbles, you can see the light reflecting of the bubbles, you're washing the back of the plate and you put it up. And then you take the next one and you're fully there. You're fully washing it,
And looking all the
fully
time.
cleaning it, noticing the temperature, noticing your hands, and done. So while you're there in that space of doing the dishes, you're not somewhere else thinking about what you're going to do next, or you're not sitting thinking, you know, that was an awful meal, God, I'm not eating that tomorrow night, whatever. Or somebody said something to me at the dinner table, and sort them out. We're here in the sink, washing the dishes, noticing, observing, fully present. And then you do it, and then you go on to your next thing. So it could be as you're presenting, as you're talking, or you're listening, you're fully there 100%. So
You're focused on something then. So to be focused on something for that period of time then, that's a meditation, isn't it?
that is.
I suppose, there you go. I answered that one.
Yeah. So young Andrew here could be fully focused on his work, in the moment, just there.
As he always is.
Uh-huh.
So Andrew's actually meditating.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Because that just blew the myth clean out of the water for me, because I thought you had to sit down like this here and
Well, you can
and
do
humming.
you can do that too. That's just setting time aside. And again, this thing of doing one, fully observant, one thing at a time, it sort of blows the myth of multitasking, which sort of grinds me a wee bit. You know, oh, I'm a good multitasker. But what are you doing? What are you trying to do? 10 things at one time? Well, why? Do one thing, do it well, move on to the next. So that's how we're getting stressed out. We're trying to
Multitasking then.
spinning all these plates. This one's nearly about to fall over. About this one.
Run over there and get
Yeah.
that in there.
Look after this one. Do it fully. Do it well. Move on to the next. So whatever your time is during the day for your working, if you've got your 7 or 8 hours, there's only one thing at a time you can really do. Move on to the next, to the next, to the next. The day ends, you go home. That's it. Come back the next day, begin where you left off.
So you can actually work and meditate at the same time then.
Certainly can.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, because you see some of the Far East, you know, East Asia, if you want to call it, and they meditate in the mornings, they do their Tai Chi. In Hong Kong, they do the Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to Fergal Hughes in Hong Kong at the minute. I hope you're doing your Tai Chi at 6 in the morning, Fergal. They get up and they do it at 6 in the morning before the traffic starts. And it's actually good to watch them, you know.
Yes.
And it's all circular movements that they're doing, you know, and leaning and back and forward. And you could see maybe it's hard to put an age on people, you know, but there are some senior citizens,
Yes.
and they're up at 6 doing their Tai Chi every single morning, and that's probably it only lasts maybe a half an hour.
Yeah. Well, again, they're getting up with their natural body clock at that time of the morning. And when you practice at that time of the morning, because you've slept, your body has fasted, so there's no food in it, so it's a better time to practice. So it's the same with early morning yoga practice. It's a better time to practice. And you're practicing as the sun rises again, you're being more in tune with nature. If you look at the Native Americans, and then when you swing to the evenings, you're because you've been up so early, you're beginning to start to get tired, and then you're going to go to bed at a more natural time of maybe 10 or 11 or whatever it is, and then get up early. So you're not staying up late at night on your iPad or you're watching your late night TV. Your body's telling you to go to bed at a certain time, and then you become more attuned to that. And you get a better sleep and better rest.
And for the likes of yourself, David, so you take yoga classes 6 in the morning, so that means you must be up near 5 anyway, are you?
Say maybe 5:30.
And then what? By the time your day is over, what time do you go to bed?
try to get to bed around 10:30, between 10 and 10:30.
And then back up at 5 again.
5:30.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's some going. That's some. But you're a chilled out guy. You're happy with what you do, and especially with your yoga keeps you mellowed out, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And your meditation as well.
Yeah.
Are you a drinking man at all? You don't bother, or do you?
Well, funny, yeah, I would have the odd glass of wine or a beer there, but what I've found over the last while, I don't think there's any need. I'm not searching outside anymore for answers or everything's, the practice is really enough.
Yeah.
And it keeps you right. And again, if we swing back to what being in tune with your body, if I'm practicing yoga 5 or 6 days a week, and then putting alcohol into the body at the weekend, for the next day's practice, it inhibits the body. You're not in tune. There's nothing wrong with having the odd glass of wine, but I just feel maybe it's not. Sort of gone past that.
You passed that stage,
yeah. Past that. And you're talking about our life stages, and this is what happens.
Another
when we're 10, we're 20, we're 30. We're getting married, and then we have kids, and then we hit our 40s, and you're going, what's it all about? And then you hit 50, and you're going, what am I doing here? It's time to change. What do I really want to do? And that's probably where I'm at. So I'm maybe going to be stepping more into the yoga, and my day job's going to take a back seat a wee bit. It's
But as I say, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the older you get, you want to get things done, and if there's outside influences not there and they're not working out or whatever, so you care a tad less the older you get, don't you? And you've less time even to listen to people, who talk, who they're going to be talking rubbish. You know what I mean? There are people out there and they go, oh no. When years ago where you would have, well, what's it, and you would have stood there, and even though you weren't listening, but now the older you get, you kind of go, listen, mate, see you later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's the chapters in our life too. Probably going to turn into a real grumpy old man. I love it.
Yeah, well, my ambition is to head to France.
Oh.
Maybe teach yoga over there. I've been studying French the last 2 years.
The language and...
Yeah, and going to class every week.
Is it in Newry? Mm-hmm. Where's that?
Dermot Boyle, just above in Skipfloor, so across from the Shelbourne. So he teaches French and Spanish. And I've started Spanish as well. So...
Very good. This man never ceased to amaze me. So you're a multitasker and you don't realise it. Do you see that?
But you only do one thing at a time.
Yeah, at a time. You're doing them at a time.
And give it your full focus.
Yeah.
So that's my dream. My dream, and I think we all have to have something to aspire to. My dream's to go to France, to live in the community, teach yoga, and enjoy the sun.
I like the sun too. The solar panel needs charging up, friends. The solar panel needs it. We don't get enough sun here in Ireland.
Plugging in.
That's what I need.
Back in.
And get this charged up then. You take some of the heat out of this when I get it charged.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. I hope you reach your goal. And I hope you keep in touch, man. Then you never know. I could go out and do a bit of yoga out in France.
Good, surely.
Nice drink of red wine, proper red wine out there. Sweet as, isn't it?
Sweet as a nut.
Oh, sweet as a nut.
Red or white, whatever you want.
I can feel the taste buds are going mad now at the minute, you know.
Some crackers and cheese.
Oh yes, a nice riaka or something like that there. Oh yes.
And isn't it strange, 20 years ago, whatever, you wouldn't have looked at it. You would have gone,
not at all. The taste buds wouldn't even have wanted it. But now I'm getting into all these different reds, I like the red. The white's okay. Rosé is fine. It's like a go-between the red and the white, But you've got the taste buds going mad at the minute now, I think we're going for a glass of vino, aren't we?
We will. Yeah.
Only in the Banter show, friends. Well, I have to say, David, it's been an absolute pleasure again.
And you too.
And I hope the French dream comes alive for you.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. That's a good outlook on life, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And
You need a plan B.
I think we need a plan A. First, one thing at a time, David. Yeah, but no, as I say, it's been a pleasure to have you. And always a good conversation with you. Even I meet David on the street there. Sometimes we stand for 25 minutes talking to half an hour, don't we? And it's always good. It's always meaningful. It's always a meaningful conversation. So, friends, get in touch if you want to get into some yoga or meditation. This is the man to go to.
There's a new website as well.
Oh, new website.
NamasteYogaNuri.com.
NamasteYogaNuri.com. Check that one out, friends.
And let's get the list of all the classes and different stuff.
And times and all that there. And as I say, he's moving into Warren Point, and he's been in Cullerville and Alton Vale House. So you're out and about, David, aren't you?
Out and about, yeah.
And you're keeping it real, aren't you? Well, as I say, friends, it was great. I always enjoy the conversation with this man. It's always a good conversation, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So, from me and David, friends, that's it. We're going to give a razor. Give him a razor. Razor.
Razor.
We're out of here.